You're listening to the Breakaway Breakdown podcast, where we bring you interviews with some of the top ropers in the country, news about what's going on in the fastest sport on dirt, training tips for you and your horses, and so much more. I'm your host, Casey Allen. Let's jump in. Okay, you guys, I am going to be honest. I was having a little bit of a negative day when I picked up the phone to call Tiffany Schieck for her interview on the breakdown. Now, I was down in the dumps. I was being a negative Nancy, whatever you want to call it. But gosh, Tiffany was the ray of sunshine I didn't realize I needed so badly. Now, I wanted her on the breakdown initially because she was the co-champion of the Cheyenne Frontier Days. She won that along with Macy Young, and Macy brought her daughter on stage, and it was amazing. It was such a great moment for all the girls up there. But there was something with Tiffany's energy and her infectious smile that just made me really want to learn her story. Also, she choked up when she talked about her great Palomino mare, Susie. And after talking to her, I can totally understand why. Now, Tiffany is on that bubble knife fight in the breakaway world standings right now. She's sitting 19th. She's just a couple thousand, I want to say $4,000 out of the top 15. And then she is trailing teenage sensation Josie Connor by $3,000 in the rookie race. It's been battling back and forth in the top 15, out of the top 15. The rookies are just coming for everybody's throats this year, but I think you're going to love Tiffany's outlook on her first year on the road. You're going to think her job is pretty cool. And you know what? The anticipation's probably killing you. Let's just jump right in. But before I do, please remember this episode is brought to you by Fastback Ropes, and I cannot wait to tell you more about their products at the commercial break. Hey Tiffany, what are you up to today?
We are traveling to Casper, Wyoming, so I can go ahead and get a little practice in. We haven't had the best week this last week, so I really trying to focus today to go get a good practice in before we head over to Deadwood and Rapid City.
Heck yeah. So how has this week been going for you?
Not great. And it's all mental. It really is. Being out here for the first year, it's been for sure a eye-opener as far as, mental game and stuff like that. I've told a couple of the girls on the road, I'm like, man, I just feel like I haven't done anything in a while. I've been in a slump, and they're like, you've ran 3 caps. That's it. You just won a rodeo a week ago, and you're like, oh man, it really hasn't been that long. But on your brain, it just it seems like it's been forever since you've gotten something done. It's so weird how it works out here.
I got you. So how long have you been out there?
I got a really late start. I have not been out here as long as majority of the girls. So I started my year off. I actually was on my permit when I started the actual rodeo year, and I went ahead and won Liberty, Texas, and so that filled my permit. I got my card. I went to a couple of rodeos, during the winter time. I tried to make it into the bigger rodeos. Didn't work out for me. I had a little horse accident. It was right before Easter. I broke some ribs and stuff, so I was out for a little while. That took me out, and I just kind of started coming back. And I really hit the road starting in Greeley. Greeley was really my first. I came up to Wyoming up north with $500 won in my name. I had nothing won. I tried getting into some of the rodeo. I was surprised I got into Greeley. Greeley, I don't know how they let me in there, just because it was limited. They didn't have enough girls in her, I guess. I tried to get into a bunch of rodeos, and I am the queen of drawn out due to qualifications. So that was my whole story. The first 3 months and into my journey was drawn out due to qualifications and all that fun stuff. And so they're finally letting me rope now. So I started in Greeley, and we've made it this far.
Okay, and then there was that little rodeo you won. I think it was called Cheyenne Frontier Days that helped you out in the standings a little. Let's go back to that.
That was kind of a little one that kind of bumped me up there a little bit.
60 spots or something?
Yeah, something like that. I want to say I came in. Yeah. That was one of those that it's still, I don't think has sunk in. When they send me my buckle and everything, maybe then it might sink in that I won something like that. But yeah, that one for sure. We joked about it like the day before the finals, the final night. We kind of joked about it, and I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to say this one time. I was like, do you realize that if I win it tomorrow, like I'm going to be in like the top 15 of the world? Like, do you realize this? And he was like, yeah, and like he was just kind of like blew it off with, like, we both kind of just blew it off as one of those like, yeah, okay, like we'll see, because all year my whole goal this year has just been 45. I just wanted to be top 45. I wanted to make it into the buildings next year, set myself up for next year. And everybody's always like, well, you're either all in or you're all out. And I'm like, well, if I make 45, then I'll go for 30. And then, if we make 30, we'll go for 15. Like, okay, like that's going to happen. And then, then it happened. And you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, now what do I do?
So we just skipped 45, skipped 30, went like straight to 15, and then like, let's just keep going.
It was kind of one of those like, oh, let's just jump over this bridge and just kind of now these like, like at the beginning of the year, I'm one of those people that I write down goals and I try, you always try to accomplish those goals and everything. And, your goals change so much during the year. Like you got to be able to change them throughout the year and stuff. My goals at the first of the year, I wrote down goals and it was all Texas stuff. I wasn't going to leave the state of Texas. I was going to just circuit rodeo. I was just going to hang out. And then I had the opportunity to come up here and I just kind of took it. Like I've had a lot of opportunities that have kind of placed themselves with me that I'm like, let's do it. Let's, what are we going to lose? Like, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? So this year has just been a lot of kind of jumping off the ledge and just kind of seeing what's going to catch me kind of deal.
Heck yeah. So I want to circle back to one more thing because you just very casually mentioned like, and now it's August when we're recording this, so Easter, isn't that distant of a memory. Would you just casually break a couple ribs? Like, do you want to talk more about
that? There's a video of it too, and it's actually quite funny. I'd sold a horse and everything, and I was like, you know what, let's go ahead, and we have a good friend down the road, he has a ranch and everything, and he was like, I've got these horses, you guys take them, do it, my husband team ropes, and so he was like, go ahead and team rope off them a little bit, get them in the breakaway, and so we're like, great, we'll be good. And it was, I want to say she was a 4-year-old, and she went out, it was like her second place that I had taken her, and of course it had to be a church roping, so it was just a fun little like church roping, $50 entry fees, we're just going, like it's a barrel roping, there's no barrier, like we were just there to have fun. And like first run out, she did amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, like this horse is really coming along, like she's figuring it out. And second run out, she's working perfect, she's right there. As soon as I throw my loop and like go to like rope them, she just breaks into, and there's lots of pictures to go with it, there's a whole video to go with it. And I rode her out for a couple of jumps, and if you know anything about me, I do not ride anything that bucks because I fall off. And I thought I would like casually step off of her, and that step off went into a frap on the ground. And I was hurting for a good couple of weeks. My husband made quite a bit fun of me because I would walk around the house all hunched over and everything. So it was a fun time for a good little while.
Jeez.
That was about the time of, I think Helotes was around Texas, which is only about 45 minutes from my house. So I didn't even get in Helotes or anything. I didn't even try to enter because we tried coming back. I want to say it was probably 4 weeks before I got back on and tried to rope. And every time, my yellow horse, she's not the prettiest stopper. So every time she would stop, I would the whole breath of me would go away. So it was quite fun the first couple of runs back.
I was gonna say, I don't claim to be punchy or anything. I tell people I'm really good at falling off. Like I can armadillo and save myself, and that's my claim to fame.
No, I'm not like that. Like my husband, he was like, you need to figure out, like when you fall off, you need to learn to like tuck and roll or something, because every time you fall off, you break something. Like this is a good occurrence that you're having. Like maybe you should learn to fall off a little better.
Well, let's talk about the horse that isn't naughty, even though her stop is a little rough. I love hearing you talk about your yellow. So let's just share the story on her and how she got to where she is today. And don't cry if you can help it.
No, you're good. I know it. Well, and before Cheyenne, I 100% told my husband, I was like, I want this for her. Like, I didn't even want the win for me. I wanted the win for her. Like, she's come so far for me, and she has I know she can be a witch sometimes, but like she really has such a please mentality to her. She just wants to please for you, and she wants to do right for you. Very rarely does she mess up. And if she does, more than likely it's my fault. But she came from it was a couple of years ago. I've had her for probably 2 years now. She came to us. I kind of got into some horses and stuff like that. I was looking for something, hey, I'll get some young horses, like maybe start working on them. And if we find something that's good, great. If not, we can turn around and sell it. Like just kind of that little deal. And, we have a friend that's down the road, and he does a lot of horse trading. And I went to him, I said, what do you got? Like, we want something cheap. Like, we're always in the market for cheap things. And so he was like, no, I got these 2. We took 2 of them home, sent one of them back. We're like, we'll keep the yellow horse. And I, straight asked him that day, of course, before we took them, like, do they buck? Like, I don't ride buckers. Obviously, we know this now. Like, we don't ride nothing that bucks, nothing. Oh, no, they don't buck. They're fine. One of them we didn't like. We kept her. I bought her for $2,000, super cheap. And we didn't really ride her for the first year. We did not really ride her that much. She was, for some reason, we just kind of put her on the back burner. When she came to us, she looked horrible. She was very, very thin. I mean, she's one of those, like, she looked like an auction horse. She was not the prettiest thing. She was very ugly. And I didn't realize she was going to be as big as she is, but I'm glad she is. And we started her team roping is actually where we started her, because my husband heels, so he's always trying to get me to head for him. So we put her on the head side, headed off of her a little bit. Then I needed a practice horse for the breakaway. I had another horse at the time, and so I started using her. Never really took her seriously until last year. I started hauling her towards the beginning of the year. We have a little series down by San Antonio, Tejas Rodeo. It's a touristy rodeo, so I started kind of tuning her up a little bit, thinking, okay, we'll start taking her there. Like, we'll go there. And so started taking her there. And actually, Sherry Mel, she's kind of a local legend down there. She does a lot of app shows and stuff like that. She's a good friend of mine. And she told me, what is that horse? What is that horse? And we kind of talked about her. She goes, that's going to be your good horse. And I laughed at her. I was like, there's no way. Like, look at her. Like, I call her my donkey, because she's always, I was waiting for that. People laugh at me. I'm like, yeah, my donkey. And they're like, what? And I'm like, she's just always dead. Like, first rodeo we took her to, she could care less. Like, she sat back there, looked like she was sleeping, got into the box and everything. She ran perfect, did everything perfect, went back to the back and just sat there. So she works perfectly like that. But Sherry did. She was like, she's gonna be your good horse. And I just kind of like laughed it off a little bit. And then we kind of started taking her more and more places. I took her to a roping up there at Chris Neal's that he had, that a year ago. It was up in Guthrie, and I went out on my good horse at the time and went ahead, and I think I broke the barrier or something like that. I didn't have a good first run, and I was like, I got 2 runs left. Like, this will be your first one. We'll just go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? So I jumped on her and actually won a round check on her, and I was like, at that moment, I was kind of like, this might actually, like, she might actually turn into something. And I was always like, she's a big horse, she can run, she'll be my long score horse. So I was like, I'll have a long score horse and a short score horse. And then I took her to some rodeos that were short score, and we won some rodeos with like 1.9s, 1.8s. Fastest run I've ever been was a 1.7 on her, and I was like, okay, she's good at short scores too. So so she just kind of worked out for everything. And like I said, she just always has that she wants to please. Like we were just talking today, I've been in that slump, and there's not a single thing I can pick out on her in the arena that she has done wrong. I mean, everything with her has been so perfect. We just got to get my mental figured out. But yeah, she's been so good to me. For a $2,000 little horse, I think I lucked into something pretty good. And it was actually funny, things come out after you win something big. It came out on Facebook that, oh yeah, no, that horse bucked everybody off at the ranch and everything like that. And I was like, oh, now the truth comes out. And she's never bucked on me, knock on wood. She has never done anything like that to me. And they're like, oh yeah, she ran so-and-so through the trees and did this and did that. And I was like, oh my God, like, that is horrible. And like, but thank God, like the 2 years I've had her, she's never ddone anything like that to me. So she doesn't even find the right person, I guess.
She learned to appreciate her life there.
Yeah. I always tell her, like, you start messing up, I'm going to send you back to them. Like, you have it so good where you're at right now.
You see, and I love that too, like, because I've heard so many people say, you can't find a good one for under $20,000 right now. And obviously if you're looking at incentives or, you want something specific, but there's good horses that are out there that you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for. You just have to be willing to be patient and find them and have a good eye, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. And like, that's something that, my husband, he's trained a lot of team roping horses and stuff like that. And I haven't done a whole lot of training and stuff like that. So we've had a lot of horses come through our place that people, not that they don't know what they have, but they're not willing to put that time into it to see what they can be sometimes. And they don't realize what they have. And so there's been a lot of people that were like, hey, like, this would be a good horse for you to keep. Like, he's actually pretty nice. And they're like, no, like, they don't want to put the extra time into him. And like the heel horse he's on right now, I think we bought him for like $3,000. We bought, we've been those people that really lucked into some deals with the horses and stuff. So it's really worked out just because we are kind of willing to look past that. Oh, they're not the prettiest right now, but later on, they're going to be super, super, they end up being nice.
Is she papered?
No, she is not. Supposedly she has papers, but I have tried to look for, like, I've tried to hunt people down for them, and I can't get a hold of anybody. So right now she is a grade mare, and I think she's somewhere around that 10 years old is what the vet told me not that long ago. So I'm going to say 10-year-old grade mare.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Fastback Ropes. Fastback Ropes was created in 1995 with a single mission in mind, to build the best rope on the market. That will always be their number one goal, according to Fastback Ropes. They believe it's important to focus on building the best product possible and treat customers with the respect that they deserve. Now, besides being a great company, they feature 2 ropes that I think you breakaway ropers are going to like. The first is the Edge, a 4-strand calf rope. It's made of texturized poly. It's a tough and durable rope that stands up in all conditions and outlasts the competition. The other rope that they've come up with is exclusively for breakaway ropers, unlike the Edge, which was offered to calf ropers previously. It's called the Athena, and besides being pink and having a purple dyed core, which is awesome, the poly core provides enhanced tip weight and durability. It's a tough and durable rope that stands up in all conditions and gives a snappy finish and close. Make sure to check out fastbackropes.com for more information and to get your ropes.
So, okay, if you can look past the, like, maybe they're not the prettiest, what are the top 3 things you look for when kind of picking your prospects?
Our biggest thing is like you can look at a horse and realize like they've got the kind eyes and stuff like that. You want the ones that have the mentality that they want to please you and that they're gonna listen to you. We've got a lot of them in that, it sounds bad, that they're scared into doing things, but you want the ones that want to do it for you. Though that's probably the biggest deal with me. The second would be for sure something that does not buck. I know a lot of people will take in those horses and stuff. Our biggest thing is the front end. If they get light on the front end, we will send them back in a heartbeat. I mean, it does not take much for us to send one back. There's too many good ones out there to go ahead and mess with those bad ones that are going to get you hurt. So we've had some accidents in the past, and so we stay away from those that get light on the front end. And the third one, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, we always seem to get the ones that have had a hard life before us. They just been lacking in groceries maybe. They haven't been given the chance. So it's, when they do come to us, it's nice because it's almost like they appreciate you that much more. They want to please you that much more.
I gotcha. What are your conformational make or breaks?
We don't really have any, to be honest with you. I'm more of just I try to stay away from the smaller horses. I am a bigger girl. I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. Like I'm a bigger girl. I don't want to be riding a 14-hand horse. They're number one, they're not going to last me very long just because, all the hauling and stuff like that. I do like one that's more kind of, I don't want to say like a ranchier style, but something with a little more bone to it, something with a little more build to it.
Like that traditional stout quarter horse.
Yeah, kind of more of that traditional cow horse. I have a smart Lolita granddaughter. She was my good horse there for the longest time. We retired her at 19. She's actually my backup horse right now at 22 years old. I don't really have another one.
Out?
I pulled, poor thing. Retired her when she was 19 because she started getting like soft tissue damage and like she's just slowly, like she would do great for a few months. We'd win, and then soft tissue damage somewhere. So she would be off for a while, and like it was just a vicious circle. And so we actually bred her at 19 years old and got 2 babies out of her. And this year I went to go on the road, and I'm like, I'm gonna need I can't go out there with just one horse. And she wasn't really doing anything at the house, and so I brought her up one day and I ran a few calves on her, and she had not missed a beat. I mean, she was right on it. She was amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. And she's in the rig with me. I have not entered on her yet. I am not going to lie to you. I am kind of afraid the first time I'm going to. She's probably going to hog on me. So I might fall off. So the first time around is going to be kind of fun on her. But no, she's in the trailer with us just for a backup and everything, just because I didn't feel comfortable coming out with just one horse just in case.
I gotcha.
But,
so are you from Texas?
I am. I was born and raised down by San Antonio, a small town just south of Floresville, Texas. Born and raised down there. None of my family rodeos or anything like that. I was into anything and everything sports-wise. I did softball, ballet, anything, up until I was 8 years old. And my dad had a client that his daughter barrel raced, and I went and saw it one time, and I told him, I said, that's what I want to do. And he threatened me. He was like, you're going to have to quit everything else because that's a lot of stuff. You'll have to quit all your other stuff. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So that's when I was about 8. I went ahead and I did that, and we had an old horse at the house. Oh, I don't even remember what his name was, but once Mom and Dad figured out that I was going to take it seriously, they bought me. It was actually a Palomino horse. I think they spent like $1,500 on her. She knew absolutely nothing. Neither did I. So we both learned together, which I don't know if that's the smartest thing. But she was great. We showed up. Yeah, we showed up to our first rodeo, and my dad's like, okay, we've been doing the straights wrong this whole time. And he like drew it in the sand, was like, this is how you need to do it. I'm like, my family knew nothing. Actually, until I got to college, I didn't even know what the NFR was. I was like, absolutely no idea. We rodeoed and stuff like that. We did junior rodeos, but it was such a small, we never branched out and did the big stuff. Like to us, the youth finals stuff, as far as like the Lone Star Youth Rodeo Association, like those were big to us, like those, and then the amateur rodeos that came into town, the CPRAs and stuff, those were big rodeos to us. We didn't know there was a whole nother world out here of just like crazy people going down the road trying to be like carnies and trying to make this, the NFR, and like we had no idea what that was. And when I got to college, I heard, I went to school, rodeoing, and I didn't know what the NFR was, and that's kind of embarrassing to say, but I had no idea. And then first time I went there, my husband took me there the first time, and so it's kind of opened up a whole new ball game for everything.
Okay, so how did we go from a barrel racer on a $1,500 horse that didn't know what the NFR was in, 10 years? Less than 10 years? To having a shot at making the NFR in the breakaway? Hold on.
Well, so I barrel raced for a while, and then I saw roping when I was about 13, I saw, the boys were roping. I wanted to be like the boys. I wanted to rope and everything. And so they bought me I guarantee they didn't spend over $2,000 on this horse. We just ride cheap horses at this point.
I love this.
Her name was Mare. She was great. She was old when I got her. I don't even know how old she was, honestly. That horse taught me how to rope. And we had her I probably roped off of her for 4 years. And she taught me a lot. And then I actually ended up on a paint horse, and I took that paint horse through college and roped off of him. And he was not the funnest one to rope off of, honestly. He would short you like nobody's business. He was not the funnest to rope on, but he for sure made me appreciate the good ones once I got on them. But no, I did a lot of youth rodeos and stuff. My dad got into, and my family got into the youth rodeos. He wanted to help out. He was always, about the kids and stuff. So he would help try to produce some of the youth rodeos down there in Texas and everything. And he would help out and stuff. He'd bring some of the cattle for him and everything. And we just kind of stayed around the youth stuff. My dad ended up going off to work. He ended up working the pipeline for the oil fields and stuff like that. So about about junior high area, we kind of stopped rodeoing as hard. When I got into high school, we actually moved up to Colorado for a year, and I had it in my mind, like, I didn't even ever go to high school state. I never went to state for high school rodeo. I think I made it 1 year where I could have gone, and I didn't go just because we didn't know it was such a big deal. Like, my family was so off, and we were in so many different directions. I didn't even know it was such a big deal to go up there or anything. So we kind of skipped out on like a whole big old opportunity that I probably could. I wish I would have taken it. Looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, it worked out great, but it would have been nice, back then to see, you always think, like, imagine like how good you could have been now if you would have really stuck to it back then, kind of deal. And I actually had some scholarships for college to go in to play basketball. I played basketball in high school and stuff like that, and I had some scholarship opportunities, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. I went ahead and tore my ACL my senior year of high school, and because I was straight, I was like, I'm not going to rodeo anymore. I'm just going to go to college, enjoy everything. I was going to hang it up because I didn't know there was a whole world after it to go rodeo. Like, I thought, what I was doing was it. I didn't realize that there was, this big thing in Vegas every year that they put on that is cooler than ever. I didn't know that. So then I got, tore my ACL, was like, okay, well, we'll rodeo. Like, we'll go into college and we'll rodeo, pay for my school. So I got into a junior college actually over in East Texas, Trinity Valley. I spent my first year over there and rodeoed there. My freshman year, I think I missed out. I ended up the top 5 in the breakaway on that paint horse, and just kind of kept chipping away at it. And yeah, it just, I don't know how my life ended up the way it is, honestly.
So when did meeting Matt help with some of that? Did he push your career a little bit?
He did. So I met him my second year of college. We met our second year of college. So my first year I went over to Trinity Valley. I worked that summer, and I got a call, and I went up to Borger at Frank Phillips College. And little town, like, you don't even know it's there kind of thing. I don't know how I ended up there. And so they gave me a scholarship. I went ahead and went up there, and I ended up meeting Matt. I had to sit out the first couple of semesters due to switching, from junior college to junior college. So I sat out for a little bit and rodeoed the first semester. Did decent. I really didn't have that much luck. I don't know what it was about my second year of college. I did not have that much luck. I stayed on the paint horse and everything, and had a little bit, hit there and everything, but not really a whole lot. And he actually, that smart little Lena granddaughter, her name is Mercedes, my backup horse. He was riding her at the time. His family had kind of raised, they got her as a 2-year-old and went ahead and trained her and everything. And he was like, you need to get off the paint horse. He was like, you need to get off the paint. You need to get on a step-up horse. Like, he's not helping you out. And I don't know how many times I almost fell off of that dang girl. Like, there were so many times I ended up on the back of, on the back of my saddle because she would just blow me out to the back. Like, transitioning from, the paint horse to Mercedes was so hard. And he was like, you can do it. You can do it. And there were so many times I wanted to throw my sucker on the dirt and be like, just give me my paint horse back. Like, it was so easy. And so he pushed me to get on the step-up horse, and I had the breakaway roper swing back then, let it leak out in front of your face and just kind of sit there. And he was like, you got to bring your arm back. Like, if you want to be able to reach and, get power on your swing, you got to bring your arm back. And that was a good 2-week transition of, cussing and fighting each other, and I'm pretty sure I did not think we were going to make it through just trying to change my breakaway rope and swing on that one.
but had you had much professional help before that, or were you kind of just learning as you went?
Never. It was learn as I go, and I still I've talked to Larry D a couple of times, and I've talked to JJ and them, and I'm like, hey, I need to get out with you guys. Like, I need to go over to y'all's place. I really need to get some tuning up and stuff like that. And I've just never made my way over there. I really need to. No, everything I've done has been self-taught. It's actually really cute. My dad, if I ever talk to him, this is how much my family knows, about roping and stuff. I'll miss one or something, and I can throw it over the calf's head and I can top knot him, and he'll be like, well, did you drop your elbow? And that's his favorite thing. That's all he knows. He's like, well, don't drop your elbow. Like, make sure you keep your elbow up. Like, that's all we knew growing up was like, you just don't drop your elbow. Like, that was it. So the only training I've had, really honestly, is Matt is the only one that has been like, no, you're doing this wrong. This is how you need to do it, and helped me out a lot. So no, Matt has been my professional training if I'm gonna take one.
Don't let it get to his head though.
Oh, I know. I try not to.
I gotcha. So, where would you say your motivation to keep getting better has come from through your journey? Because obviously you're roping with the best in the world, and that's a pretty crazy story to just kind of go through and teach yourself. That's amazing.
It is. So, it was probably about, 3-4 years ago still. I mean, seeing those girls, the JJs and the Jackies, and first time I met Jackie Crawford, I'm going to tell myself right now, first time I met Jackie Crawford, I was starstruck. I saw her in Vegas. She probably thought I was a crazy person because I was like, oh my God, it's Jackie Crawford. And I freaked out and was just I was starstruck. I had no idea that I was going to meet somebody like that. And then it's crazy, 4 years later, I'm roping with them every day, and it's like, hey girl, how's it going? JJ, she's one of my favorite ones just because, you see her anywhere, and she's going to know your name. She's going to be that person that's always she'll address you right there. I was at CPRA finals. I was 2018, and she, I'm warming up in the warm-up pen, and she was, hey Tiffany, how's it going? And I had to whip around real quick, was how do you know my name? It's crazy to go from, 4 years, that's not a lot of time. I don't even know the word I'm trying to think of. I was so scared with them. Not even scared, but starstruck. I was so intimidated by those girls. And now, they're just human. They really are. And, I still don't know if I consider myself all the way up there with them, but being out on the road with everybody, I'm we all 100% are all on just this crazy struggle train that we're just trying to make it happen. And there's not a single person out here that is just oh, they're going to beat us every single time. Everybody goes through these crazy up and downs out here. And I wish I could tell myself, 4 years ago, they're just like you. They're 100%, they're no different than you. They go through all the same struggles that you go through. And, they're not, I'm not trying to say they're not that big of a deal, but they're not crazy far up there. They're just like you. They really are.
I believe you said in your interview with Chelsea after Cheyenne that your job change was a lot of the reason you got to go on the road. So would you mind telling everybody what wonderful organization you work for, and what you do there.
So I work for the WCRA Rodeo. I am the breakaway and tie down rep for them. That has really, they've done wonders for me as far as the flexibility and everything and being able to rodeo. In the past, I've always had either the office job or the job that takes you away from home and everything like that. I've never had really a true, remote job that I've been able to be out in the field with the rodeos. So it's really nice with the WCRA, I'm able to go ahead and be at these rodeos and be able to talk to all these people. The girls, I see them all the time. They're like, hey, what's the next event that's coming up? Or, what's the format going to be like, for Fort Worth in December? And, I'm able to tell them right then and there and, be able to be that rep out in the field, have that flexibility and still be able to rodeo. And I think the girls and the guys, the tie down ropers and everything, I think they kind of respect me maybe a little more, or like, I have that same mentality of them. I'm able to be on the road with them. They know I'm not just a person, behind a computer trying to, call them and be like, hey, how's it going out there? I'm out there with them and, they see me struggling with them. So they know that I understand, a lot of the stuff that they're going through.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always loved about the WCRA is it's ran by rodeo people that know the sport and know how it works. So let's talk about the, kid Tiffany from a small town going to junior rodeos. For someone like a kid version of you, how would the WCRA be beneficial to that person?
There is so much opportunity with the WCRA for the little people. So they just went ahead and released a Division Youth, which is going to be next year in July. We're going to have a whole rodeo. It's $200,000 added for the kids and everything. And the great thing about it is you don't have to be that kid that's going to every high school rodeo or the best of the best over in, they don't have to be going to all that, the big name stuff. You can go to the little youth rodeos, the Lone Star Youth Rodeo Association like I was in, and you can go there, nominate those, and get points to go to this event that will bring you into that world. I really wish they had something like that when I was a kid, so maybe we could have been open to everything a little more, but, life is what it is. But no, the WCRA has really started, especially with the youth part of things. They've really been pushing the youth kids to have stuff for them. That way they can start up in the rodeo world and get them on the right track. These youth kids are no joke. I've been going to these qualifier series for the Division Youth at, the Chris Neal events and stuff. And I look at some of those kids and their dads are down there telling them, oh yeah, make sure you see shoulder out. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that sometimes. These 12-year-olds are going to whoop my butt in 2 years. And I'm going to be so embarrassed, but so proud at the same time.
So, I always loved when I could load up a trailer of colts and, I'd go to a barrel race or roping back home, and for some of the events, as cheap as $25, you can get an entry to get points through that, and you're already going. That's what I think people don't realize sometimes. It's no, you don't have to do anything else except hit submit on an app.
Yeah. No, the WCRA, there's been multiple events, like Rodeo Corpus, for example. I made it into Rodeo Corpus by going to the little Tejas Rodeo, the weekly, touristy rodeo right down the road. It cost me $25 per nomination. I want to say I nominated it 3 times. So in total, I spent less than $100, and I made it into a rodeo that pays out over $15,000 to go ahead and win. So you're able to go, you can play it different ways. You can go to the cheap ones and play over there in those ones and just get enough points to make it in on the leaderboard. Or you have people that they do go to the big ones. There's pros and cons on it. The cheaper ones, yeah, they're super easy. I'm a big fan of those and going to the jackpots, and that way you can rack up the points that way. But if you do enter those big ones, if you do a Cheyenne, yeah, it's going to be a $200 nomination, but out of that $200, you don't have to nominate the rest of the time. You can be done if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can get points for 5 runs, right? Like, or 4 or 5 runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the big thing is, the jackpots and the multiple head rodeos and stuff like that. Those are the ones that for sure you want to key in on, just because, you get points in all the paid rounds and stuff like that. So those are really nice to go ahead and get into. That way you're able to rack those points up so quick. And they make it so easy. They have an app right there that all you do is get on there and, you search for the town that the rodeo or the jackpot or whatever you're going to's in, and you go ahead and find it and say, this is what I want to nominate for, and hit pay, and you're done. And of course you got to put the coupon code in there. We always have coupon codes, so you always want to reach out to your reps and stuff like that. I know we have different reps for, the team roping has a rep. Her name's Whitney Lloyd. We've got on the barrel racing side, we've got Trina Ream. We've got on the rough stock side, we've got Kate Moat and Rob Smets over there. So we're pretty full on rodeo people. Everybody has, been part of it and knows the ins and outs of it. So if y'all ever need help with anything, we're the ones you want to reach out to. You can always call the support or reach out to us. We've always got ways to help you out any way we can.
Yeah, I love those coupon codes. When I get one, I'm like, oh, you want to use this? Yes, I do want to use that one. Yeah. I love discounts.
Yes, I want to save money. Like, is that a question?
Awesome. And then, where was I going next? Okay, so you talked a little bit about the mental issues that you're having, kind of going back to your rookie season. So what are some of those things? Like, what's the most unexpected mental battle you've had being out on the rookie trail this year?
The biggest one is just going to be, I got out here I feel like I got out here so late in the season, and we've got a lot of rodeos left. Like, after Cheyenne, I looked at my schedule and I didn't really change it around a lot. People were asking me, are you going to start going everywhere now? You need to enter everywhere. And I'm like, no, like I've got pretty much everything. I added a few of the playoff series rodeos in there just because, it was like, okay, like maybe that's something we need to look into if we're going to do this. Maybe we should try for that one. So, biggest thing that I've ran into is just trying to sit here and think, and I want to say it was Josie Connor that went ahead and put it in one of her interviews or something that I just saw not long ago, and she said it's a marathon, not a sprint. Mm-hmm. And which is 100% true, because you go from week to week. Like, we just ran 5 rodeos this last week, and it seems like it was so much, when really after Cheyenne, when I hit Cheyenne, I had 25 rodeos on my rodeo count, I want to say. And in the next 2 months from Cheyenne to the end, I want to say I had like 20 or 30. Like, I was going to over double my rodeo count, in those 2 months. And there's so much of the season left to go. And sometimes it's so hard you miss one somewhere and it's like, oh my God, that could have been the one that got me in. And it's like, there's so much rodeo left to go that you can't put so much focus on one run at a time. You have to have such a short memory of, your last runs and stuff like that. As far as like, if I go out there and I have a bad run, I'm just like, okay, like, we're on to the next one. Like, well, I don't even want to think about that one anymore. Like, we're done, we're on to the next one. It has been hard trying to do that, because they always do sit on the back of your head. You can sit there and say all you want, I'm done with that run, I don't want to think about it anymore, but really, truly, and honestly, it is still right there. And I do catch myself a lot of the times, my husband has finally been like, you got to stop looking at standings, and I'm like, you're 100% right, because you're like, oh, well, so-and-so did good here, they're going to jump up, and you're going to be here, and it starts really playing tricks on you. Like, I came out here just roping. Like, that's all I was doing. I was just coming out here, having fun, roping, enjoying the ride. And I'm having to kind of step back now after the last couple of weeks and be like, we're just out here having fun. We're roping. Like, that's all we're doing. We're having fun. We don't care if we make top 15. We're just here having fun at this point, because all that stuff will really get into your mind. And, even though you don't think you're thinking about it, subconsciously you're thinking about it. It's there in the back of your mind, even though you want to say it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say with, like, I know you and Josie get along, and, like, with her coming back in her dang walking boot after breaking herself, I'm like, I'm not even going to ask about the rookie standings. I'm just going to let you two and whoever else is in the race, you know, Brianna Lehrman, I think Addie Will, Haley Williams, I'm going to let you guys figure that out, and I'm just going to ask at the end of the season.
I think it's just, like, I don't think any of us, I know me, like, I know there for a little bit, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I just hit number 1 in the rookie standings, and it's like, oh, that's great, and I've had a couple of people ask me about it, and I'm like, but it's so crazy because, like, Josie just went this week, and she did really good in Caldwell. She's sitting really good in the average, so I'm like, okay, well, now she's ahead. And, like, you can drive yourself so crazy being like, oh, she's ahead, now I'm behind. Now we're just going back and forth with each other, so I know I was really, really disappointed when I did hear. I thought Josie had gotten hurt. I wasn't for sure. And then one of the girls, I want to say it was Martha, was like, yeah, no, she was walking around in a boot. And I was like, oh my gosh, like heartbroken. Like, I was just like, that sucks. And then when she did come back for Caldwell, I was so happy. I even told Jay, I was like, I'm so happy to see you guys back out here. Because we want each other. I'm one of those people that I want everybody to be out here. I want everybody to rope their best, you know.
Yeah. You don't want to win it and then everybody say, you just won it because Josie broke her ankle. And Josie, if you are listening, you give me anxiety, or your mother agrees with me. Josie, you give us all anxiety, roping in your walking boot. Anyway.
Hey, she's kicking some butt in that walking boot, though. I don't care. She is.
That kid's tough.
First run back in Caldwell, I was just like, shit, she's not going to make this easy on us. Like there went that.
And that's that next generation you talked about. I mean, she's, 18 years old, and she's helped me with my roping. I mean, she's literally sat down, and I was at a clinic at Larry D's, and she was there, and I sat and talked to her about the start and stuff forever. Like, she's got so much knowledge.
Yeah, she does. And I don't know, you know, I've had a couple of conversations with her and stuff like that, and yeah, just I swear she's got more mental knowledge than I do when it comes to rope, and she's so mature for her age. Mm-hmm. And so many of those young kids you see them and everything, they are so mature for their age as far as when it comes to rope, and they have so much knowledge, you know, because, and I'm not saying it's just because of the opportunities, but they've really grasped onto those opportunities, those clinics, and, you know, the help that they've been able to get and everything, and they've really taken that knowledge and really utilized it. And I think that's the best thing that younger generation can do, is take the knowledge. You know, if somebody's trying to help you, I don't care if it's one of the committee members that are there at some of the rodeos and something that, you know, he was an old roper, you know, 30 years ago, and this is how he did it. You know, there might be something in that conversation that clicks a light on in your head and is like, hey, like, that might be onto something. Like, just because they look like a crazy old man, like, he probably knows something, or might have a little something that you can take away from that. I don't care who it is. It could be the best person in the world, or, like I said, it could be that, you know, been out of the game for 30 years. You know, those people are going to know something, and you can benefit a little bit off of every conversation that you have with somebody. And that younger generation, I really feel like a lot of them, the good ones that you see out there, they grasp that information and they do take it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when Jackie Crawford's Elevate video came out when I was in middle school or high school, and it was like the biggest thing ever for breakaway ropers. Like, we all scrambled to buy it the day it came out, and now you have breakawayroping.com where you can get on there for not even the cost of an entry fee and have access to, like, all these girls that have made the NFR, and I'm like, this is wild.
The knowledge that you can get from, you know, just going online and watching these videos. And, you know, it's crazy the amount of stuff that you can go ahead and get into with so cheap nowadays. That, I mean, and it's right there. I mean, it's on your phone. You can get to it right there, you know. And I think it's Tyson and Jackie. I think they go ahead and have a deal that they go ahead and do that, you know, helps with the mental, and they go over stuff every week. I think they have a Zoom meeting every so often. That's very helpful to a lot of people out there.
For sure. Okay, so if you had to say, I ask everybody that comes on, what is the best piece of advice that you have ever been given? It can be life, rodeo, funny, not funny, anything.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's a hard one.
It's always fun.
I know. I would honestly say the biggest piece of advice, just keep your head down and go. Like, whatever is thrown your way, as far as whatever cards you're dealt with, we're not all dealt with the greatest cards. We don't all have the greatest starts in our rodeo careers and stuff like that. But as long as you keep working at it and you keep trying at it, don't get yourself too down. Talk positive, think positive about it. When you start talking negative and thinking negative and everything, obviously your actions are going to follow you. But to keep your head down and just keep pushing through it and everything, use what cards are dealt with you. Yeah, it might not be, what you expected you were going to be at, but sometimes it's so much brighter than what you ever could imagine. And you just got to live those moments and just enjoy them and step back a little bit and realize that even if you're like on the road, you're not having a great time, with your roping and everything, this life that we live out here on the road is so amazing. Like the country that we have seen, we went through a forest the other day, and I told Matt, I said, we're pulling over, I'm jumping in this river. And just the fucking, I was like, I'm jumping in that river, I don't care. Like, he was like, that thing is freezing cold. I was like, I don't care. Like, when am I ever going to get to do this again? We were in the middle of Montana, and like, just enjoy your life and just have so much fun with it that, because you're going to look back later and you're going to look at these memories that you made out here, and you're not going to be like, oh yeah, no, I went to Missoula and I missed one. And no, you're going to be like, hey, from Missoula to this other rodeo, we went through the forest and I jumped in that river right there. Like, we're not going to think about these bad runs. Like, you're going to think of everything else that happened in between them. Those 2 seconds of a run, is just such a small portion of everything that happens out here. You just got to enjoy everything else. The biggest thing that I hope people realize that, my biggest thing is I was so scared coming into everything and so intimidated by everything and everyone. Again, we're all just out here, all on the same struggle bus, just trying to make it work. I don't want anybody to ever feel like, I've been to some of these rodeos and girls don't have anybody to push their calf, and there will be multiple girls run over there. Danielle Lohman pushes our calves all the time. Like Sawyer, she'll get in there and push calves. Jill Tanner, she's right there. Like, there's so many girls right there that are going to be in your corner, like, throughout this. You just got to find those girls. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be, like Cheyenne, for example, like, yeah, it was a big win and everything like that. I had a lot of people that did come out of the woodworks, in a way, to say that, we're proud of you, we're happy of you and stuff like that. But you kind of got to take a step back and look at those people that have been there from the beginning for you. My husband's been there from the beginning for me. Obviously, he really doesn't have a choice on that. But those people that have been there from the beginning, even, when you're not on top of the world, because it gets lonely. Like, you make a big win and everybody's your best friend, and you just feel like, oh my God, this is amazing. And, you're on top of the world and everything. And 2 weeks later, you can't seem to catch a calf, and it gets lonely down there. Like that bottom of the hill gets a little lonely, and those, you got to find those people in your circle that are going to be able to help you out and, stick there with you and, laugh it off with you. I roped myself in Codwell the other day. I blew my spoke, and I was like, well, that was a first. Like, okay, we can only go up from here.
It still happens to the best.
I'm telling you, I was just like, I can't, I blew the start out and everything. I was, and then I blew my spoke, and I was like, how does this even happen? Yeah, it happens to all of us. I mean, we're all out here struggling, and I do hope that, all the younger ones, I look back at myself, 4 or 5 years ago, and I wish I was, more confident in it, and to be able, that confidence, I wish it would have stuck a little more, so that way I could have, gotten all this done maybe 3 years ago, kind of deal, but for sure, younger people, don't be afraid. Most of us are really nice people, I swear, and we will all help you no matter what. We will give you the shirt off of our back just to see somebody else do the best that they can do.
That's awesome. All right, Tiffany, thanks again for talking to me today. And this was fun. I had a good time. I hope you did too.
I did too. Yeah, we've got about 6 hours left on the road today, and then like I said, we're gonna get some practice in. So hopefully we can do some good over in Deadwood and go to that. I got that qualifier series in Rapids, so we'll be over there for WCRA working a little bit too.
Well, awesome, Tiffany. All right, I will talk to you soon, and thanks again.
Thank you. We'll see you down the road.
I am such a fan of Tiffany already, and I hope that you guys learned something or felt inspired by this interview. Make sure to keep up with all the pro rodeo drama as the regular season winds down. Yeah, October 1st is coming up quick. Can you believe it? I can't. It's flying by. But the Breakaway Roping Journal will be with you every step of the way. So if you want to stay in the know, keep up with our website, our social media, and if you're in the market for your next breakaway rope, please consider fastbackropes.com to find your next weapon inside the arena. We will be back with roping tips and interviews coming up in the next couple weeks. And like I said, it's getting crazy as the season winds down. So have a lovely week, you guys. If you're entered up, go kick butt. Have all the fun. Thanks.